Town and Gown is a very special place. It's very ornate, it's very formal. Our very first dinner for the Latino Alumni Association was held there. So to revisit that years later with these political leaders that are our principals in our book was a very special moment for me to see the evolution, if you will, of what's taken place in the last 40, 50 years.
This book was selected for this event because it's an enormous impact on the state of California and actually on the country. I believe it documents and explains the incredible influence of Latino vote and the implications for national and state politics.
I'm going to ask Richard Alatorre, former California Assembly member and former City Councilor of LA, to please come up and take your seat, followed by Gilbert Cedillo, a former California Assembly member and a former senator and a current City Council member of LA, followed by my wonderful Richard Polanco, former California Assembly member and senator, and followed by, last but not least, by my dear friend Antionio Villaraigosa, former California Assembly member, former speaker, and former mayor of LA. These are our panelists for tonight. These men are my friends. These men are my mentors. On behalf of all of them, as well as myself, we thank you, Dean Knott, for your progressive leadership. We thank you, Dean Knott, and the USC Price School, my alma mater, as well as the USC Latino Alumni Association for hosting this event. Thank you for the honor of highlighting the story of Latino political empowerment in California. Now, the panelists and I have one thing in common. We all grew up in the barrios of East LA.
And for you students, I want to tell you a story. There was this little girl from East LA who was raised by her grandparents. Took the bus to school, not a tale of woe, it's what it is, and gets straight A's. The only A I ever got was in PE.
Yeah.
Goes to USC, gets a Latino alumni scholarship, enrolls at Price. What do you think of that? Graduates magna cum laude and goes to Georgetown Law School. First woman, first Latina to chair the Judiciary Committee in both the State Assembly and the State Senate. But my favorite is that she authored legislation to require AP classes for every school district in California. That was not the case. That's what Martha did. And what's interesting to me is that the Latino Alumni Association provides financial support and counseling to the students, and the Price School trains our students about critical policy issues that affect our entire society, and I'm one of them, Jack. Thank you very much.
And let me tell you something. There is nothing more important than fighting for something that is going to benefit people that have no power, don't have any votes or anything else. It's just like today in the state of California, we celebrate the life of Cesar Chavez. And I had the great fortune of working with him and passing an Agricultural Labor Relations Act in the state of California. No place else in the country has what we have in California. And it was because of him and the things that he believed in and the things that I happen to believe in.
This ado about the fact that I was the first. And I saw that everybody serving me looked just like me in this town. And so I knew I had to get involved in education because the only reason why I had broken the glass ceiling was because I went to Cathedral High School where I got kicked out and then went to Roosevelt where I dropped out. But I went back. And you know, when I became mayor, just so you understand, 1 out of 3 schools were failing in the second largest school district in the country. 1 out of 3. We had a 44% graduation rate. My alma mater, Roosevelt High School, when we graduated in 1971, Gilbert in 1972, had a 25% graduation rate. By the time I became mayor 31 years later, they had a 31% graduation rate. Today, Roosevelt High School has an 84% graduation rate. Garfield High School has about a 90%, a little more than 90% graduation rate. So, you know, there was this pressure to show results. And so I started pushing my friends and ultimately, you know, pushed them harder than they liked, and then, you know, we did battle. But I tell people, you know, I'm very pro-union, as most of you know. I work for the teachers union. I believe in unions, but I also said I believe everybody ought to have one. So I helped organize the parent union because they said, you know, parents need to have a voice, and you know, we did the parent trigger because, you know, some schools were failing, not for 10 years, not for 20 years, but for 50 years, and we're supposed to be okay with that, with the changing leadership. And we got to stand up for a great America that says public schools is the path to a great education, but everybody ought to have a great public school.
We feel like we're carrying the burden of our community, and these people who have come out looking like our parents, Antonio, right? People are being forced to ride a bus, can't spend time with their families in the morning, one of the most draconian circumstances. Personal commitments, but they're also ethical commitments, they're moral commitments. And I say that to all of you who are here because you're constantly going to be challenged in your life. Do you do things just for money, for promotion, and forget why you're here? Here, everybody's like, oh yeah, Viva la Raza, yeah, Chicanos, yeah, we're going to help the community. But those decisions, the critical decisions, are made later in life, when you have to make those decisions, who you hire, who you fire, who you work for, who you don't work for. What's the core value? Are you consistent with those core values? And so that's the struggle, that's the challenge of leadership. The challenge of leadership is doing what's right when it's not popular, and doing what's right when nobody's looking. Those are the challenges.
To the family issues, the first of my son, the first of my daughters, all the firsts that occur that you miss. And they're gone. And there's tremendous sacrifice that goes unnoticed. It is a 24/7, 7-day-a-week public service that you're on.
The leaders we focused on in Power Shift developed as activists, organizers, and political leaders in a wide variety of ways, and all developed impactful leadership networks. Intentional political learning requires learning from others, of course, but also experimentation, innovation, and risk-taking, sometimes audacious risk-taking. Many stories of such risk-taking are in the book.
Power Shift is about diversity and inclusion for everybody, and I want to underscore that as well. The intent of this book is to bring a segment of our community to the center, just like historically the Jewish community, the Italian community, the Irish community, and many more. And finally, I want to leave you with a quote from my friend Leon Panetta, who provided the foreword to our book. And I quote, "This book shows that the American dream is not a gift, it's a struggle. Power Shift presents the journey of 10 warriors who gave people the chance to live the American dream." Thank you very much.
I'm here because I really resonate with the mission of Price to improve the quality of lives of people here and our communities here and abroad. And so, I work in the private sector, and I'm very passionate about corporate social responsibility and making sure that it's not just the government that has a responsibility of our communities. It's also the businesses that operate in those areas, right?
That really compelled me to give here today and to give witness to their legacy and to give thanks to them as best as I can by supporting. And also supporting the Latino Alumni Association and El Centro Chicano and Price, being a Price student. Just really thankful for the opportunity of having this event put together in a space where students of color are not necessarily uplifted all the time. It was really empowering to be in a room where you know that lucha is validated and it is worth the time and energy and the effort, and to give honor to the ancestors and the shoulders that we stand on today, and knowing that we should continue to go forward despite all the obstacles, and hearing them, and it was really inspiring, and I came here to get inspired, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, or what I pulled from this event was the persistence of our ancestors, or the persistence of our community, that they haven't, gone silently into the night, that they have continued to push themselves, continue to push the political system, to push America, to recognize that we are here, to recognize that, we're not going anywhere, that we're not invisible, that we are a huge part of this community, that we're a huge part of this nation, that we care, and that we're going to make this place a better place for all of us. Persistence, persistence, persistence is what I learned today.